the scariest moments of my life.
How easy would it be for him to walk away?
My anxiety was through the roof.
Insurance doesn't cover anything.
It puts you in a dark place.
Nothing was helping.
I had a missed call from her mom.
I was really scared.
She was going into emergency surgery.
Doctors didn't know what was going on.
I've never felt so helpless in my entire life.
I actually was never into any sports, or I was not an athletic person at all. I was more into art. I took as many art classes as I could. I was good at it, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. My older sisters, they're very smart, straight A students. I was kind of the one that wasn't great in school. They became nurses and started their job right away. I didn't start getting into fitness and lifting weights till after high school. Back then, it was kind of weird if a girl had a lot of muscle. But I would see women who were strong, and I liked how different that was. I'd think, why can't I do that? So I started working out. I started to feel stronger and became more confident. After 4 or 5 years, I discovered firefighting was something that started to interest me, which is cool because if I never started working out, I don't think that would have been something I'd actually do.
For me, it was kind of similar, except I was into football in high school. I didn't really play on the team. I sat on the sidelines a whole bunch. I graduated high school at 135 pounds of just skin and bone. I was a worker throughout high school, worked on farms, and I loved seeing how much stuff I could carry. And so I figured the one thing I was good at was lifting things up, putting things down, and I was always big into looks. So after high school, my goal was to have abs, and it all kind of went on from there. I wanted to go further and compete with it because I wanted to be that cool kid who looked the part. For people who don't know about competing in bodybuilding, it is one of the toughest things. You don't have a life. You don't go out with friends. You're not able to go drink. You can't go to parties. And that's all it is. So when we met, I was in prep. I was still doing bodybuilding. It was bad. I was in one of my deepest, darkest places. I was very depressed. My anxiety was through the roof. I mean, there was nights I would be calling her at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I just needed someone to talk to. And she's got to be up at 5 a.m. for the fire academy.
I didn't know who he truly was yet. I tried to encourage him to go to therapy. I could tell that his diet was really getting to him. People need carbs for their brain to function right. There was a moment that I was like, do I have the capacity to deal with this? Luckily, I understood that I'm not meeting his true personality. But I was pretty glad when he decided to retire from that sport. But then we immediately became best friends, became training partners together. He spent a lot of his time paying attention to my life. I didn't really have that before.
After that, everything started just going up and up, and she got through the academy. And 7 months later, we moved in together, and I bought a house. I said, hey, I know your lease is coming up on your apartment. So I just bought a house in Adrian if you want to move in.
At that 7-month point when we moved in, and everything seemed to be perfect at that point.
It did.
Nothing could go wrong. And that same month, in September 21, I ended up in the hospital for 4 days, unsure of what was going on. Doctors didn't know what was going on. I had 2 emergency exploratory surgeries within 24 hours. I ended up waking up in the ICU on a ventilator.
It was one of the scariest moments of my life. She was just in awful pain. The 4 days of watching her was one of the worst 4 days of my entire life. I can honestly say I've never felt so helpless.
From there on, we were able to schedule some procedures, and we found out that my uterus was misshaped. Basically, all your textbook problems that you could have with the uterus, I was kind of a weird mix of multiple. They weren't really sure if I was able to get pregnant. If I was, it wouldn't be able to grow because I had no room to grow. In simplest terms, we weren't going to be able to have our own baby. And we knew the best plan was to have a hysterectomy, which I had done at the age of 24. It was kind of a breath of fresh air at first because I didn't want to go through that pain again. But I was really scared because I had just found someone that was perfect for me. Only 7 months into our relationship, I felt like how easy would it be for him to walk away from that. I think it's really cool that we're both firefighters. We work 24-hour shifts, so, sometimes we don't sleep during the night. We deal with some crazy stuff at work.
And we see it on a day-to-day basis. Having someone to come home to who actually understands and sees the same stuff that you see, and you're able to talk to them about it, get it off your chest. I mean, a lot of firefighters don't have that.
It is a lot of work, but it's worth it, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
It's the best job in the world.
What do you do to become a firefighter?
Every department has a different standard. There's always something cardiovascular, some sort of weighted vest.
We wore 80 pounds.
Yep, and that's the same with us. Dragging a hose around a certain obstacle.
We had blacked out masks and being able to stay on track with a hose line.
You're gonna have to strike a certain object a certain amount of times. There's usually a ladder climb, some sort of physical agility test where you're blacked out and you have to crawl through a smaller area and get out the other end.
You can't see anything?
Correct. So in a fire, I had an old captain tell us, close your eyes, put your hand over your face, and that's what you can see in a fire. But we get very used to using our other senses. It is one of the toughest things you can do, but it's the funnest job in the world.
I would do it over and over again.
When this whole thing went on, it wasn't even like a thought in the back of my head of I could go find someone different.
It wasn't too long after that. We're like, okay, what are our options? We think of adoption as an option, but we didn't want to regret not trying, and we do. We want our own kid genetically. I have my ovaries. We can still have a surrogate, but insurance doesn't cover anything infertility-wise. So that's $150,000 out of pocket. This is what we're dealing with. These are the cards that were dealt. Just have to figure out how we play them from here.
So you guys are both working full-time.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously more than full-time. Let's be real, right? And in your update, Jenna, you talked about getting another job, a part-time job, because it provided better benefits.
Yes. We're doing everything we can, but it's hard to ask for help. There are very, very few places that if you were to work part-time, that you still have access to their benefits. And some, like Starbucks and Tractor Supply, both have part-time positions that you have access to benefits, and they provide some infertility benefits, which can be anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000, $50,000 just for IVF. IVF means nothing for us unless we have a surrogate.
So let's say best case scenario, you get the job at Starbucks or Tractor Supply. They pay the maximum that you've seen. What are you guys still on the hook for?
It'd still be over $100,000. You're paying for agency fees, which we'd be looking at $50,000. A gestational carrier, they get compensation fees of $30,000 to $60,000 or maybe more. That's not even something that insurance could touch. Any medical appointments, blood work, medications, emergencies is coming out of our pockets. We'd be paying for insurance for them as well. It is a lot of money, but we're working hard to reach that amount.
We actually went and got our level 1 CrossFit coaching certificate. We're both coaches at our gym. Every day that we have off, we'll coach.
What's the goal now? Like today?
Well, I asked her to marry me, so that was kind of a big step.
We are juggling wedding planning as well on top of all that.
And so kind of a cool aspect of what we are doing with the whole surrogacy thing and wedding thing is we're trying to make our wedding as cheap as possible. Weddings are quite expensive, finding out. And so instead of gifts, instead of different things, we're just going to be asking for donations for the baby. We're really focusing on that.
You know, with the whole hysterectomy and our future, everything just spiraled out. How we're going to do this while we're at the gym. I can control the weight that I'm moving. I can control my fitness level and my health and what I eat and how I prepare for my job. I am able to actually improve those things. That helped me get through the emotional stressors. And the more we push ourselves in the gym, it kind of makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah.